Hello and welcome back to the OPL, where anything really can happen. I cannot believe what I have just witnessed.
Yep.
But
Direwolves undefeated coming into the day.
they're still, I mean, they've dropped games.
Yes.
But to lose a game in that fashion, for a team to just run at you over and over again, and the Direwolves normally very cool, calm and collected under pressure, collapsed.
And that's the thing, like every compliment we give to the Direwolves is exactly what we didn't see. Like they didn't just play the slow game, they were constantly over-aggressing. They kind of led to the flip of the map where Luch got that two-man shockwave and won that first team fight that really turned it around. Schönfire ended with like 8 deaths that game on the Kindred. He was getting picked off too many times and they just didn't look cool. They weren't calm. They absolutely weren't collected. And just overextended way too many times.
And I think there's a couple of things that you can really point the finger towards. We talk about FBI's propensity to not pick up QSS, whereas someone like Raze will always go towards it early on in the game because he trusts his damage output. Churn went for an Infinity Edge. I think that's even arguably worse. You know, there's nothing like the more of Malmortius coming out there. He's just going pure damage. And when you're going like 0-8 in some of these, like, that's rough.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is like the second game of that Kindred, right? Game number 1, very good, got caught out a few times. Game number 2, kind of falling down that slope of getting caught more and more and more. Game number 3, I'd like to see Direwolves put him on something else. Sure, he gets ahead early, but it's not winning them the game. He's not making the big Schönfire impact plays that you see, but on the other side of the map, the man sleeping, he picked up a few kills and then was absolutely huge in winning those team fights, flanking on Camille, looked super comfortable going back to his old picks.
Yeah, poor Biohanther's bullying him around everywhere on the map, and then all of a sudden, Sleeping picks up a triple kill in a team fight.
5-2.
And no longer can, like, Biopanther is just like, well, I don't have anywhere on the map to go, was continually getting picked on. However, guys, we are into Champion Select for game number 3. Did not expect to be saying that for the first one. However, Bombers now moving themselves into doing what a team has not been able to do for about a year, Bryce, and that is take down the Direwolves. It's going to be Morgana as well as Mundo banned away. Zoe Aatrox hit the bench by the Direwolves.
Going back towards the blue side means that things flip back towards more game number 1. In that last game, we didn't talk about, like, picking on the Shen and then having the Nocturne. Like, even if you pick on the Shen so much that Sleeping gets ahead, and then when he is 5-2, you can go elsewhere, and Paranoia means that Biopanther can't actually join the fight. So there was a few, like, niche draft interactions that also were a huge deal for Bombers. I don't even, like, Sleeping doesn't know.
He was hiding.
He was.
He's an interesting cat, Sleeping.
He is. 100%. Why'd you say cat?
I don't know.
just picked a word. You just said it. Okay. I thought it meant something.
No, like, I'm showing my age here, but like I'm pretty sure in like the 1990s, like that's what people would say to people.
Like cool cat. I've heard cool cat. Interesting cat. I don't know about that one. Doesn't quite have the same ring to it.
I think it does.
All right.
You know what, Bryce? I don't critique your use of 100%. How about you critique my use of cat? Morgana as well as Mundo, and Rakan banned away. It's going to be Lucian as the last ban. Immediately, going to be a Nocturne lock-in. Do they just go towards?
They do. It's a pretty decent pick. Like, you bully him early, pre-6, Kindred does well, and then Nocturne is 100% commit when he goes into a play. So Lamb's Respite is real big, but that's a very early pike lock-in for Cupcake.
That is a jump up in priority. Didn't see it at all game number 1. Game number 2 was picked up by Rosie to great effect, but it was second last. Game number 3 is third pick.
Maybe this is kind of throwing the gauntlet at Tiger and being like, do you want to take away the Swain? Are you happy with that situation? Because we've seen Bombers go away from majors and just look best on traditional AD carries. Pyke Swain in the bottom lane. Huge matchup with Morgana gone. Probably the best that is available.
And this is one of those situations where I would say the Bombers so far, and I haven't seen the rest of the draft, have outdrafted Direwolves because you want to play Shen into Nocturne because you want to be able to save the person. So as long as you have a stopwatch or, you know, they have an ability to stay alive for a couple of seconds while the Paranoia is on, then you can Shen ult them and turn the tide. However, Nocturne is also very good with Shen. If it is a Nocturne jungle, Shen support, and you attack a side lane, all of a sudden it is a 3 versus 1. And it is very hard to combat that. And Ezreal, one of the best self-sustaining AD carries, Bryce.
And you're just always going to have a dive buddy as the Nocturne, and you absolutely need it to not get blown up immediately. If you're ahead and you get the Dust Blade, you can go for the GA and you're ahead of the curve and you get to one-shot everyone. Who cares if you don't have a tank to follow you in? But when you have Sleeping on that Shen, or Rosie, depending on where it goes.
I reckon it's going to be Rosie.
Yep, I can see it. Ezreal Shen into the bottom lane against something like the Pyke. Vladimir is a pretty ambiguous pick.
I think it's going to triple because they banned the Orianna.
Because I feel like Vlad Pyke, for lack of a better word, sounds like a pretty poopy lane in the bottom side.
It doesn't sound great.
Just get shoved in. You really don't fare very well in a 2 versus 1 as the Vlad, so Cupcake wouldn't really have many opportunities to float around the map on that Pyke.
So we'll see what the remaining ban is. It's going to be Syndra, so continually hitting Luch in the mid lane.
And these are weird bans, not really at the height of the meta, but just banning away what Luch has looked most comfortable on.
Well, apparently Orianna is. Because all we've seen in the last 2 days is weird Orianna picks, which are now starting to work, I might add, so maybe not so weird.
King has about 15 seconds to decide what he wants. Neither top laner really has been locked in as of yet.
So it will be an 80 carry, potentially, Vlad, or maybe they'll play Karma Pyke.
I can see Karma Pyke. You get the shove. She's pretty self-sufficient. Opens up Pyke to do things. You don't have CC for Pyke to then hook off, things like that. I guess if you can start with Pyke, you can then look for the root and buy enough time, and Pyke has multiple forms of CC. I like it better than a Vlad, but we haven't seen it yet, and that's a Karthus.
That is a Karthus.
100%. They locked that one in with stuff like the Shen. It's a very tanky lineup, and this is a weird draft.
This is the original lasers from the Sky Comp.
Ah.
This is Nocturne Karthus and an aggressive top lane.
And you have a Shen as well coming in over the top on the Nocturne.
Yeah, you just. I hope he runs Predator, because that's where I first saw it.
Yep.
Is like the weird duo queues that run like Nocturne Karthus, and I'm talking about Karthus going Predator, by the way, guys.
Yep.
And then you just sit there and you hit Predator and you ult, and you do a ton of damage off that ult.
Because everybody thinks about Predator as like a ganking tool for a jungler. You get the move speed and hit a lane, but it just gives you flat damage in terms of boosting your AP and your AD. So super useful to then just hit your ultimate, hit the lasers from the sky, and Direwolves, they do have some tools. You have like Vladpool, you have Karma that can Mantra E, that can dodge out a little bit of the damage.
Surely not.
Ezreal mid. Luch has the smite, so you expect him to get the cards, and they do swap it out. They have 2 more seconds to change their mind, but I really hope they don't. And it is going to be a Vlad with a Pyke in the bottom lane. Not going to be anything weird like the Karma. It's more of a traditional lane, but didn't want to mix things up all that much. We didn't even talk about Biopanther going back to the Ornn. Big beefy tank into Sleeping's Camille. Had a very strong game number 2 and wants to try and just weather the storm as much as possible.
And to me, this is a big test. Because against Order, which was the other... I think they've only dropped 1 other game this split.
Direwolves?
Yeah. Against Order, first week, you can say there's no pressure on you. Biopanther, you go out, do your thing. That's fine.
And AV.
Ooh, they lost a game to AV. So that would have been a test as well, because that's where you start getting nervous. Game number 3 against Bombers, if you're the Direwolves lineup, this is not how you want to lose your undefeated streak. You don't want to lose it full stop, but you do not want to lose it against a team that is currently residing, I think, at sole possession of bottom place of the ladder.
Because if this is like a tectonic game, you're like, look, they've beaten Chiefs, they've beaten Order. Sure, they lose to AV and Legacy, stuff like that, but...
They're the king killers.
Yeah, they've taken down the big dogs, but this is Bombers who have fared very rough. They've been getting 2-0'd by those teams, and all of a sudden, picking up 1 game and looking to replicate.
And you know, Curtis said that during round 6 to round 9, you don't want to keep your players up at all times. You want to be able to ride the kind of dip in the season, as it is a very long year for the Direwolves.
Yes, we both just saw the same thing yesterday, because we've been seeing a lot of Klepto Ezreal.
It's happening!
We saw the Electrocute by Gunkrab on Tectonic. Very unsuccessful in that endeavor, and now this is going to be the Summon Airy.
This is going to be an APS.
Our second of the week. We've had none in 6 weeks of OPL.
Also,
or 5 weeks.
Debonair Ezreal.
Cool skin.
Criminally underrated as far as skins
Agree.
go.
Everybody, well, actually, no, everybody doesn't use Pulse Fire.
No,
you either
no
use,
one
like,
uses that. You use Miner or Explorer.
Or Frozen. I like Frozen. Frozen's like super old school, but it's real. It's just blue. It's just hella blue and is an icy dude.
Okay.
But Debonair has Chroma.
Does anyone use that skin?
Like I think it was Ray Deer's throwback skins. That's why it's like embedded in my mind.
In your head, yeah. So generally, and I say this as an old school LPL caster, you used to either play Miner or Explorer, because Imp used to play Miner and Deft used to play Explorer.
What?
So all the Ezreal players in Korea were either Imp Ezreals or Deft Ezreals, because they were like the two best Ezreals.
Explorer? Because I think of Miner with the one with the mining hat that's like hanging on the rope. Which one's Explorer?
Oh, maybe it is Frosted. I don't know.
Because I feel like Explorer Ezreal as
It's the same. Actually,
bit
that's
of a trade.
Big chunk coming out of Rosie level 1. You forget how much damage Aftershock does.
Yep.
But maybe they are the same. Maybe it is Miner or Frosted. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll cop it.
I feel like Miner and Explorer are the same skin.
Yeah, essentially.
I
just remember Imp used to have the stupid light on his head.
Yep.
And Def used to run the cool skin, because I don't like the light on your head. But I play this skin. I'm a debonair.
What promo pack? Oh, just the base one?
I wear the white one, like the plain white one.
Is that the base one?
I don't know.
I think
I get in trouble because I like cycle through the chromas until I get back to the start.
And
I forget which one's the base one. Where like I was playing Lucian the other day and I was like, wow, this is a really cool Lucian skin. Then I was like, hang on a second, this is base Lucian.
Lucian's one of those champions that's like so popular that everyone that plays Lucian has a skin. So like you don't see base Lucian all that often.
Yeah, everyone uses Love Heart Lucian. That's all the mid laners.
Oh, actually, gank it to the bottom side.
Certainly is, and that potentially could be a flash coming out. No, instead they turn around onto Shern. Big damage going to come out here. He will take a lot of his health. Gets it, flash forward. Shern will fall. First blood to Rosie.
2 versus 3 in the bottom lane. They turn that one around. Double buffs to the Shen. They maintain priority. Hook lands, but Vladimir doesn't do any damage at this point. No heal because of the teleport from King, so Shernfire just overextends on this Kindred and pays.
And, I mean, you're ganking a Shen Ezreal lane. What's the success rate of that?
Probably pretty low.
I would argue very low. They've got 2 dashes, and they've got a dodge zone. You're in a Kindred.
Not to mention, Rosie was so far up in the bush, and Ezreal has a dash and has TP. This is patch 8.13, so the death timers are even lower at pre-level 9 or level 8, I think it is. So if you kill Tiger, he TPs back immediately. You go in Rosie, he's more extended up the lane. Shernfire doesn't have to dash into him. He can hold that one and just get auto attack, and shepherd him back to his turret. Maybe you don't get a kill, but you get a whole boatload of damage and give your bottom lane some priority in this matchup where they've had absolutely none. But
and now the wall of pain comes out in triple. He's going to have to burn the flash. He does so very late, takes a lot of damage.
Surprised they don't actually commit further onto that one. Seb only level 3 though, so not all that tanky on the Nocturne. Didn't want to look for the dive, maybe just waiting around, burning the flash. Wanted to hit that level 6 mark and then look for the return.
I am quite curious about Luch going smite Karthus when he's playing on a Nocturne comp.
Yeah.
Just given the fact that Nocturne wants to take jungle camps, but Seb doesn't want to give up any jungle camps. As, that's big damage coming out of Biopanther. However, Sleeping will turn around and return the favor a little bit here.
It's a very nice trade back. Biopanther gets the better end of the stick there, though. Will hit level 5 off this way. And that's the thing, Nocturne clears pretty well. You know, wants to take away his Raptors. Actually, it might just be Luch taking those out at this point in time. So the ability to clear out that mid wave, smite away a cannon, stuff like that gets you priority, then you can go towards the waves.
And this is the first time in a long time I've actually seen Seb shadow a lane that needs to push into turret. You can see that he's up there, warding off Shern against a gank. Now they spot out Shern that they won't do anything, and they also spot out Cupcake.
Yeah.
So that's very nice play out of Seb, just hovering a lane that needs pressure relief.
It's a very big deal. This is the second mark that is spawned on the top crab. Shernfire did not get the first, but
that taunt just goes a little bit short.
Because the Scryer's Bloom saw Shernfire, they saw Cupcake up there, they get to bully out King for the most part. Taunt is down at the moment, but coming up very soon, so this Vladimir just getting zoned away.
So another one of these weird Ezreals. I wonder what he goes for in the build, whether he goes for an earlier tier or whether you have to go something like a Cutlass or...
Because what did we see? We saw Cutlass into Sheen, into like...
Sheen Cutlass is what we saw.
Okay. And then Fairy Charm, and then Mana Crystal, and then Tier eventually.
Tier, yeah.
I don't think that's the ideal build. A few pick-offs here and there means you have to get a bit of a crappy base every now and again, but...
Because I would assume Tier Sheen is still the best one item base on Ezreal. He would have enough for that with an assist right now.
Yep.
Cupper's going to look to try and stop this. However, I don't think he can. Rosie will dodge out. He just turns around and starts smacking him in the head. Got the creeps on his side.
Yep, has the creeps, and not to mention Tiger just went for the base and would be able to TP back almost instantly. Gets the Sheen. Doesn't have much for anything else there. So yeah, goes for the Carl, not the Tier.
Yeah, so he didn't have enough. He had Cull and Pink Ward, so he had about 525. I thought with an assist, maybe you would have it, but must have missed some cannons. Right, so this is going to be a very low Shermfire, even if he does get the Dragon.
Has Smite, so we'll be able to heal back off on completion. Also gets the Melons as well if he wants to stick around on the map, so he will take it. But you can tell exactly what Bombers want to do this game. Double Smite, farming jungler, hyper-scaling mid laner. You have an Ezreal going AP that just opted in for a Cull, so they're not really looking for anything early. The fact that they killed bottom lane 2v2 is a huge deal, and they get a nice little boost. So they get to punish this Pyke Vladimir. Very weak early lane, even harder than they probably should, but I was talking about pre-show that Direwolves have looked weakest in the early game. You know, Rift Rivals getting punished by like Nocturne level 2 ganks, falling behind versus Chiefs, and Bombers just do the opposite and make it look successful here. They're taking the scaling.
Yeah, I think scaling is a way to beat them. I already shared my opinion on it. I think that if someone has a weak early game, you don't beat that by over-indexing on the early game. It's like if someone has a weak top laner, you don't beat that top laner into the ground. You just leave it in a one-on-one and slowly exploit your advantage and then play towards, you know, their strengths.
Because that's the thing, you kind of, if you have an advantage where the enemy has a disadvantage, you can just play to that, let it naturally play out without having to invest any resources, and then you can deal with like their strong points as you just accrue a lead. So you go neutral in your bad points and you're just winning and you're good. As we see, that's what Bombers are trying to do here. Shermfire has hit that level 6 mark, approaching the top side. We've had almost basically triple, well, not almost, every single Scuttle Crab has been on the top side. Shermfire is going to get 2 of them here. Nocturne just taking away the blue buff. You'd think that's going to go over to Luch.
All the ultimates are now online. Seb going to try and get himself a blue to Shern smite it away. Yes, he does. Luch had his smite available, just caught napping.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe wanted to hold that one for Luch on the Karthus. Was doing the Wolf camp and potentially wanting to walk over. Maybe Seb just straight up wanted to take the blue.
I think you want to take that. Luch just got the other one.
Yeah.
As Shern will go back, will get back in time as well.
So very nice. They get the top Scuttle Crab, get the blue buff, and get out absolutely scot-free. Of course, with the Karthus stealing your camps on your team, it does mean that Seb falls a little bit behind the clock versus the Kindred, but that's what we saw in game number 2, and it did not seem to matter.
They're going for the gank top lane. They will use the Shed ult. You will use the Karthus ult, and they bring everyone here. Rosie's going to taunt him backwards, but he missed it. Now they will use actually Biopanther's ultimate. Don't know why he did that.
And week after week, Biopanther on the weak side of the map constantly outplaying dives, whether it's Gangplank or Ornn. Perfect stopwatch timing gets him out of all of the CC, all of the damage. Has to blow the flash to stop the taunt, but can he hold his turret? It looks like he can.
Yeah, he certainly can. I mean, Shern dipping towards bottom side of the map, but they don't know where he is right now. Tiger's already used his ultimate, so he's going to be denied some CC. In saying that, he used every tool he had.
Yep.
Used the flash, used the ultimate, used the stopwatch as well. So if that happens again in 2 minutes, he dies.
And that was what they were doing in game number 2, picking on the Shen. This time they have the Shen to pick on the Ornn, so Biopanther might be in for another one of those treats. As you mentioned, burns all the tools, so in a couple of minutes. Karthus ulti is a very long cooldown, so is Shen at the early levels before you have any CDR. I like that Rosie went back and went for the Kindle Gem very early purchase. Didn't go for Merc Treads or Ninja Tabby, anything like that. Probably Merc Treads in this game against a Vladimir Karma. But just wants that early CDR, because it's just so valuable when you have such an infinitely long cooldown like the Stand United.
Cupcake once again on the top side of the map, trying to help Shern take down this Rift Herald. They know what's happening. They are pushing into a Vlad on the bottom side of the map as well. Potentially can take down his turret. He has to step into the creep wave.
That's the thing. 10 minutes. It takes Kindred so long to do the Rift Herald. It's a big investment of time. 4 members from Bombers were floating down here. The Karthus goes back towards mid lane.
Already the pool used, so going to take a boatload of damage on this. He already re-approaches as well. Tiger took turret aggro. That is kind of the deciding factor here. They won't get the turret.
Because that's the thing. If he doesn't take turret aggro, he gets maybe 3 or 4 more auto attacks. That means with the crashing of the next wave, they can wait for the taunt available from Shen. They can force King back off the turret. There wasn't TP available from Biopanther. It did just come online, so there was definitely threat there. Unfortunately, Bombers don't get the turret, but that's a big chip. It's about 10% HP. One more return.
They actually go in onto the Vladimir. He's going to fall down. Goes into Lamb's Respite. Teleport coming out. Seb will also look to fall here. Triple comes in, and that's going to be Cupcake with the execute.
Karthus just split pushing in the middle lane, but that is Rift Herald popped very early. Nothing can cancel, and Bombers look for the proactive play. They see the 10% HP turret, and they want to take it immediately. Unfortunately, Schönfire in the right place at the right time. Lamb's Respite saves King from dying, and that's first brick going over to Direwolves.
Yeah, it certainly is. Schönfire is going to grab that one, so it's not as big of a deal as it otherwise would have been. Luch now in big trouble. Will go very low. That's a teleport coming out, and actually just turns around and solo kills Triple, who will return the favor.
Summon Airy comes up clutch for Triple. Barely gets him the answer, but you do not want to be trading 1-for-1 with a Karthus.
Not as a Karma.
Has the smite. Yeah, you have the cheaper build. Isn't actually going towards the Athenes this game, but you don't want to be trading with that hyperscaling mid laner, giving him gold, allowing him to just farm it up as he pleases. Super rough.
Has also gone towards flat penetration in the Oblivion Orb. Wonder if he goes towards Sork Boots next and just tries to get online maybe earlier than Karthus's would have historically.
And this is a Triforce Ezreal.
Okay.
With a Summon Airy.
So maybe just not valuing the Klepto tree anymore.
Yeah, maybe it's a matchup thing against a Vladimir.
Oh, Cupcake, you're in some trouble. Gets ultied up. That's going to be the Shen ulti coming in, as well as the Karthus ulti. Goes so low. Also burns a flash. However, they're bringing up the Kindred. See whether they get anything done here. Seb flies in, and now you're in big trouble, BioPanther. The CC will not be there, however, and Shern just continuing to dance around. Does not have the Lamb's Respite, but they still back away. Yeah, Karma rotating up the river means that they do ultimately have to back away. Triple is spotted now, looking for more. Can't quite find it. They kited towards the Kindred, but no Lamb's Respite means that Cupcake blows the flash, looked for the pick. He was the proactive member, but ultimately he falls down, and gold lead still just barely in favor of Direwolves, but they're looking to make things happen. They're trying to pick on Sleeping at the top side, using or not. Cupcake has made his way out of bottom lane so often this game towards top side, but it just hasn't been that successful. Yeah, well, they know the action's going to be up there. That's the problem. As you know, Karthus' ultimate, as soon as Sleeping has his ultimate available, Seb's ultimate, that they're going to go there. So Cupcake trying to read the play, but he's aggressing too often. He needs to be there for the counter, in my opinion, and they need to have more people up there. However, now this is a nice play. In behind Tiger, already going to have popped the Predator. This is just going to be a one-shot. Actually, no. Potentially not, because they will get a very nice stopwatch out. He will survive, once again, using everything. Uses the stopwatch to not block the ulti, but just block the E. Amplification damage is not there. Very nice trade onto Luch. Flashless Karthus. Flashless Karthus, as you mentioned, dodges out, however, and now he has to leave. You just hit him with a Mantra W. You don't have to go for the Mantra Q. You can chase him backwards there, but didn't want to continue the play with Sleeping around. Luch with the fancy feet once again. Barely dodges out. That staying for this wave could be a little bit risky. He's fairly low. Cupcake still has the ultimate, so execute potential is absolutely there. Clears it out very quickly, mind you. He's going to go for a hook. Is going to go wide. They've also floated over BioPanther, but he doesn't have ultimate. Churn again goes very low against the Dragon, but we'll be able to pick it up. Yeah, once again, has the melons, you know, has the Ocean Drake in his back pocket. Melon Fiend. Unfortunately for the Direwolves, this isn't a double mountain game. This is an Air Drake and an Ocean, so they've invested time into the Dragons this game. Hasn't paid off as much as it did in game number 2, so Schönfire is still with the lead. Still being able to take down those Dragons is nice, but just not quite the best. And it's going to be another Ocean. So really, luck is not on the favor side of the Direwolf. And I really am going to question Tiger's build here, because when you go AD Ezreal without tier, you lack a lot of ramp as this game progresses. You're not a Trinity Force AD carry. You actually run out of items, if that makes sense. Like, you have very limited good items to build on Ezreal. And one of the best of them is Manamute. Because that's the thing, like, when you lack good items on an AD carry, you like go towards the staples in like things like IE. When you get to max build, if you're not like an IE builder, go towards crit. But like Triforce, you didn't give a crap about that. No crit is offered there. IE with the changes made means you have to swap out multiple items, and that is a whole boatload of gold. We've talked about the scaling a lot this game in terms of favoring Luch and Tiger and the Bombers and the rest of their lineup with this hyper scaling mid laner, but Direwolves, they're going to have 7 items. They have the Ornn upgrades, you know. They get the fancy ones, but they're looking for Seb. Seb has to burn the flash. Will now use the spell shield, but he's just too slow. Can't get away. Cupcake gets the execute. Very nice pick off there. They get in, they get out almost immediately. King sort of playing with fire here. Does take down the ward eventually, and because there's no tier, because there's no Klepto, dodges out the Q and takes absolutely no damage. Gets over the wall. The other thing that I always like to talk about is Vladimir's potential to one-shot everyone. Yeah, because you have to. Because he is one of the few champions in the game that even if it's a 1v3, if he gets onto the squishies, all of them die. And there's a lot of squishies on their lineup.
Yeah, there is. They have a single tank, and he's playing on a budget because he's a support player, so maybe he can keep one person alive with Stand United. But it probably, you're choosing the Ezreal at that point, because if Karthus dies, he's still useful. King, looking for something.
However, now being flanked very deep, however, from Rosie. He's on a ward, so we'll get the taunt off. We'll have to just flash the wall instantly.
Was very deep there, hook lands, so as you mentioned, has to burn the summoner. That's pretty rough for Rosie. In terms of engage tools, it's just the Nocturne, followed up with the Camille, things like that for Bombers. So Rosie not having flash means they don't have reliable CC onto any of the carries.
Shermfire has been spotted out. They know he wants the mark.
That's multiple members from the Bombers coming down here.
He's going to face check and actually does a lot of damage. However, Seb should be able to turn this one around. Oh. He can't. There's no ultimate coming out of Rosie. The taunt will also miss. So Shern's just dancing around in circles. Gets the very nice flash away. However, now Sleeping in big trouble. Goes very low. Will use the ultimate, but will fall down. Biopanther also rotates across.
And Direwolves just pick up everything. Now they get the mark. Now they get the red buff. Micro misplays from multiple people. Rosie misses the stun. The flash out of Shernfire means that Sleeping would have to hard commit with the ulti into the Kindred, who would then just live with Lamb's Respite. He'd be stuck between 4 members of the Wolfpack. So as soon as the hook shot goes wide, then there's nothing he can do. And Direwolves get 2. They get a mark, they get a red buff, and they get the turret.
They're about to get 2 turrets, if not 3, because Vladimir has zoned away Tiger, who is once again Maybe another reason that Tier is very useful in the build. And this is going to turn into a 5,000 gold lead right now. Take another look.
And we're going to see this one. Shernfire just eats Seb 100%, dodging out of the damage from Luch. The fact that Cupcake comes in from the side means that Luch isn't willing to step up into the play. Defile not doing any damage. He also is just very low mana, and that's what I'm talking about. Sleeping looks for the hook shot, doesn't land, and when it doesn't, immediately tries to back away, but just absolutely cannot. Bombers are looking to be reactive towards the Direwolves. They're making a play, and you want to deny the mark. They're not looking to trade on the other side of the map, or I think they should be. Just go topside, seed your bottom pressure. All of a sudden, they go bottom, try to answer, and when it fails, they lose across the board.
Yeah, I think the game got a little bit out of hand for them. Sherm was getting so far ahead in experience. He's a full item ahead, as well as upgraded boots, 50 CS, and a couple of kills. And you can see that Bombers were just losing touch, and unlike last game where they were making desperation team fights work, they've not made anything work.
That's a tier built at, what, like 18 minutes into the game? That is incredibly late from the Ezreal. Was stuck underneath his turret with a Vladimir. If he finds himself in a 1 versus 1 with Vladimir, very often this game, of course, Vlad doesn't actually have a resource, does not care about mana at all, so eventually you will lose that race. Seb is spotted out by a very nice ward from Biopanther. That's not like not in a bush, it's not around a corner, things like that. Straight bang in the middle of the wave. He knows against the Camille, Bombers want to be shadowing. This is a pretty standard play, and very nice ward that will basically never get swept. Gives him the information he needs.
Probably should get swept. They just took that turret. When you take a turret, the first thing you do is drop a ward on it. So I would argue that that's a mistake from the Bombers at the same time. As Sleeping, going to just take this turret for free. However, multiple members heading down. But now they try and throw the gauntlet. Sleeping will actually dodge out on that ultimate. The lasers from the sky will pick up the kill. Teleport now coming across, and they're investing everything. Shernfire as well as Cupcake are here. Rosie uses a stopwatch, however, Seb also going to fall down. Rosie now trying to escape, gets executed. So that is a 2-for-1.
Sure, Karthus can ulti, but that's a 3 versus 5 at the end of the day. Carries from both the Bombers members stuck in the other lanes, and Direwolves, sure, they just collapse, pick up a few easy trades. Sleeping doesn't die, they get 1 kill, but it's not just worth it.
Certainly isn't at this stage of the game, with now Cupcake in behind Sleeping as well. Will actually dodge out on that hook and does a lot of damage. Cupcake needs to be careful that he doesn't fall down, and I don't think they can actually kill Sleeping.
That's the thing, Shernfire looking for the camps instead of actually committing to the play. Their King without ultimate doesn't actually have the burst to take down Camille. Cupcake incredibly squishy on this Pyke, especially with the true damage coming from Sleeping. So he does just back away. We've hit that 20-minute mark as the bottom play happens, so Baron is now up and available. Biopanther unfortunately mistimed his ultimate, so he did fall down.
I think it was a very nice dot. Oh, did he not hit it back?
Yeah, he cast the ultimate as like the fear goes off, so he had to use his dash to buffer the fear and then couldn't hit the ram back towards multiple people.
Makes sense.
He's probably dead anyway.
Bummer.
Nitpicking at that point, but the collapse comes through and Direwolves win the gold trade. Now in a 6,000 gold lead. Has just been slowly accrued over the course of the game.
I was going to say, 4,000 of it is on Shern.
Yep.
So there's really only 2,000 across the carries, and their carries are actually behind, nearly. It's on Shern and on Cupcake.
Yep. And we've seen Shernfire this series get picked off so many times. He's having a much better game. He's more than double the CS of the Nocturne.
He's 4 levels up. You don't often get 4 levels up in League of Legends.
Probably a lot to do with the Karthus taking away camps, things like that, but the fact that Karthus is on 240 CS and Triple's on 230 with the Karthus taking away camps, like, you have this deficit in the jungle, but then your mid laner is also just basically even. There's no advantage there, so pretty rough for Bombers. Hook, can it land this time? It does.
Certainly can, however, he flashes immediately backwards. That's going to be the execute coming across. Can he get any of the Skittles to land? No, he cannot. And there's an ultimate available, but I don't think you want to use it.
Yep, doesn't choose to. Burns the flash and dies anyway. That's a big cooldown, or death timer rather. 40 seconds on the Karthus. Direwolves, they're pinging towards the Baron. They have all their ultimates up. Karma absolutely doesn't care, so they start it up.
They do it very quickly. Shern is just going to eat this. However, Blue Ward will spot it out, and Shern has actually taken some damage. Shields aren't coming out on cooldown yet. Rosie going to step forward, get a pink ward into the pit, still 8,000. However, Triple is on a big flank.
King around the back actually joins up with the rest of his team. Ornn and Camille have just walked over to the play here.
Karthus is still 7 seconds away. I don't know if they can do this. That's the empowered Mantra E. Rosie's going to have to taunt out, however, still gets damage down. Lasers from the sky now going to be there, and they use the ultimate out of Kindred. 4,000 health. Still, they can decide to fight, and instead Direwolves have to back away.
And I think a big misplay from Triple. Instead of using Mantra E to block Karthus' damage, actually, Biopanther
gets picked off, and that might be mid lane turret price.
He just dies. Lamb's Respite doesn't block any of the damage. It stops you from dying. So they all get taken from, what, like 60% HP to 20. Ooh. They get a little bit of a heal, and this is going to be a bold call from Bombers.
I think just as they've taken the game back into their advantage, they might give it back, because this is a 4-level advantage. Oh, Luch has Smite. Maybe it's not. I don't know if Shern can outsmite Luch.
3,000 is the HP. Shernfire, taunt.
Oh. And it's going to be Luch picking it up, and Shern gets shut down. Now all of a sudden King runs into the backline. Tiger looking for it. That is a 5-man Hemo Plague, so they will take down the Karthus. But if they can get anyone to safety, this is a win. Double kill for King. He's going to continue to stream forward, but it's a 2-for-1 and Baron.
And absolutely you take that as the Bombers. Direwolves misplay so many times over the course of this series, lose the huge buff despite having a gold lead. Blue buff is a consolation prize, but 3 members from Bombers still live with the Baron buff. And that's enormous. Sure, they're not going to end the game with this Baron. They've taken down a single turret. They're just going to buy their Karthus so much time. Muramana not completed by the Ezreal with his 18-minute tier, so this is going to buy him time to scale up to that point, and this is just huge.
Yeah, it certainly is, and this is just a bold call. We have Karthus, we can shred the Baron.
They have double smite. Level 15 to level 14 is the Karthus versus Kindred, so shield from Rosie comes through. Hookshot does go wide from Shernfire, but there's just so much damage immediately. Baron goes down. King does so much damage on the backline. Tiger almost dies. Luch does. Unfortunately for Sleeping here, he's actually on a ward, so King gets another little kill.
Yeah, has to burn the flash for it, but you have to really question Sleeping. You just walk back to base at that point.
Yep. Thought he was out of vision. Thought he could just sneak away with the empowered recall. Unfortunately for him, he absolutely cannot.
But now your split pusher doesn't have the Baron buff. Yep. That's huge. Probably going to have to bring Rosie across or someone like that when the ultimate is available. So I think that's a massive deal.
Especially when he's completed those 2 items. Would, especially with Baron, have threat in the side lane. Potentially looking to get onto Shernfire. He did just burn his dash, and Rosie has the summoner available.
They're
Tiger
looking to get onto Tiger on the other side. Will buffer the E, will flash away, just trying to buy time, and will actually teleport out.
And that's King burning the flash earlier to get that pick onto Sleeping, so Ezreal does barely just live. Bombers find nothing in the mid lane. I'm honestly super surprised that they can't commit to that. They have Baron creeps, Karthus, they have a Shen. If a single bit of CC lands onto Shernfire, he immediately dies, so they don't even get the mid lane outer. But Sleeping still pushing into the bot side.
Yeah, hovering quite hard to his lane. We already mentioned the fact that he looks to be the win condition at the moment on the Camille. Instead, however, they've hit Tiger, and one more auto attack will do it. They got him. He gets shut down.
Just gets eaten by the Kindred. 5 kills in his back pocket now. Shernfire so incredibly strong. Hook does barely just not land onto Rosie.
However, they're still corralling them. There's still 30 seconds left on Tiger, and multiple members of this lineup are heading towards it. Empowered Recall coming out of Seb, however, they decide that they're going to turn it around. They're going to go for the team fight. They will get no damage out right now, and this is an absolute wash. 3 members of the Bombers fall down for nothing.
And every single member of the Bombers that had a Baron buff is now dead. Schönfire and the Direwolves clean them all back up. 7 kills now on the Kindred. Look, they went to the bush, they grouped up, did Bombers, they looked for the play onto triple, but stopwatch still available 26 minutes into the game, has been under no threat against the Carthus, so he doesn't take anything, and
they know where sleeping is. This is going to be Moby Boots on the Pike. He's going to continue to chase through, maybe with over that wall. He's going to live, however, Cupcake still wants him. Needs to be careful here. Does get the hook, however, does Sleeping just turn around and kill him because there is so much damage. You can see now Vlad heading in. Actually, he's gone under the turret to try and kill Tiger. So Tiger going to fall down, and they might have caught Sleeping as well. Yes, Schönfire will take him out, and this is the Direwolves absolutely crushing Bombers.
And they honestly do. Tiger for the past 3 minutes has just been getting caught time and time again. Blows both summoners to barely escape. Gets picked off almost immediately. Direwolves now breaking the base.
Yeah, now they're going forward. Flash out of Cupcake will get Luch with the hook. However, they break the base, and there's nothing really Bombers can do.
In here will go down. So they commit to the mid lane. It's still 20 seconds on the Camille. Still 20 seconds on the Ezreal as well. They might just go for the inner turret. They don't have Baron, so pushing through against the Carthus will be super rough. They're just going to take their time and get a cheeky extra turret. There's now a 10,000 gold lead for the Direwolves.
Schönfire has Flame Horizon 7, is still 4 levels above him. Level 16 to level 12.
Oh, that is gross. Just hit 13. Saved by the bell. 3rd Ocean Drake. Feels pretty bad for Direwolves. Do we get an air or do we get something else? What can we get?
Go with something else. Mountain.
Hurricane Fire. 50-50. 3 seconds, 700 HP. And it's going to be an air Drake. Feels bad to be a Direwolf right now, but
they're going to run real quick.
Yeah, I mean they've got a 10,000 gold lead, so it doesn't feel that bad. But they do not luck out with the gold RNG, the Dragon RNG rather. As we take a look at the gold, Schönfire, he's
14k. He's double him.
What did I say earlier?
Monstrumental.
Monstrumentally ahead. He's enormous. He's the biggest Kindred I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Approaching level 18.
He ate all those melons early game.
Yeah.
Got to get him on a diet.
Absolutely. Baron spawning at about a minute and a half here, but Direwolves just looking to pressure the top side of the map. Want to keep Bombers in their base. Carthus really doesn't have a lot of opportunities to farm if he can't clear out the jungle camps. He can't use his smite. Feels pretty bad. Just going to be able to catch waves underneath his turret. And Direwolves just going to shove everything in.
His level 16 does have a death cap. So once again, if Schön gets caught somehow, still pretty even team fight. Once again, even though it's an 11,000 gold lead, 7,000 sits on Schön, and he is very squishy.
Yep.
Still no QSS or anything of the like.
And that's the thing, right? Around Direwolves, when they were doing the Baron, they used Lamb's Respite to deal with the Carthus ulti instead of Mantra E from the Karma. They have that cooldown. That's a death cap on triple, so he can shield a ton of that damage onto almost everyone that's grouped up around him. So Carthus ulti is probably not going to be the tipping point, but King.
Let's pull out of King and flash use from Sleeping in a horrible way. You hate to see it. That is going to be Paranoia used, so they will get the disengage out. Schön still doing massive damage.
Don't want to commit to the play there. Direwolves, they get the flash, get Sleeping very low, and they're just continuing bot side. That's 2 inhibs broken. They're looking for the 3rd. Without the Baron, 30 seconds before it even spawns, they're still able to push.
And I think if you see Triple throw an empowered Q, you just Carthus ultimate.
Yep.
If you're Luch. You need to force them away somehow, but Triple very disciplined, not going to do it. Taunt goes in. That's multiple members going forward. Already the reset coming in, and a 3-man Hemo Plague. Luch has to go forward. He's going to fall down, and King cleans house. The lasers from the sky will come out, but that is already everyone from the Bombers dead. And that will be Direwolves picking up the win.
Yeah, the desperation engage. The flash taunt from Rosie lands onto Schönfire, but it's just not enough.
That was good enough for a game, but not for 2. Direwolves show their class. They stay composed, and they pick up the 2 points.
You can see Sleeping is pretty unhappy with that loss, as he sells all his items and invests in the scaling build of the 6 tiers. I don't know how good that one is, but Direwolves, as you mentioned, they pick up the 2 points. Not quite 3, not quite what they wanted coming into the day, but ultimately a W is better than an L.
I was about to say, a win's a win's a win's a win, I think is the saying. Doesn't matter how you get there.
Yep.
Just as long as you pick up the undefeated streak. They are still
true.
top of the table by a long margin.
It was a lot on the line that game, you know, and it was looking pretty rough at points. You know, Schönfire was getting further and further ahead in the jungle matchup, but they weren't making things happen in the early game. They were looking to pick on Sleeping in the side lane. Unfortunately, a few of those plays did not connect from the Direwolves. The Karthus was getting farmed, but...
If Sleeping kept the Baron buff,
yep,
I would argue that Bombers would have nearly won that game. Because he was already able to take 2 turrets, and the team felt like they had to play so far around him. If you're playing Baron buff Camille into Ornn, there's no way Ornn can clear out waves. All of a sudden, you're not putting 3 members towards that side of the map.
Yep.
Instead, you're just letting him split push by himself, and you're holding as a team, then you're not getting caught out willy-nilly everywhere. I think that was a turning point for me.
And caught out is definitely the term, right? Because there's a skill in League of Legends that's very intangible, and that's reliability with a gold lead. The best players do not throw their leads. Direwolves, when they get ahead, they're super punishing and they're super suffocating. Bombers, they found themselves with that Baron, and immediately Tiger gets caught out by the Vladimir in King's hands multiple times, gets chased around the map. Sleeping, didn't have the Baron. If he did in the side lane, like, he could have done so much more if the rest of his team could make it work, but it was just Bombers, when they had that lead, just couldn't make things connect. They couldn't play disciplined enough, and unfortunately, it means the Direwolves just bite back in an emphatic fashion.
Yeah, they certainly do, and we've always said this about the Direwolves. When you're ahead of them, they seem like they're clawing back the victory over and over again. You have to make the plays. Whereas when they're ahead, they just take everything. They don't make any plays. They're farming golems, raptors. They're just taking everything off the map and really putting you back on the clock to maintain your lead. And I think this series certainly showed that to a large effect.
Yeah, we saw very differing things in this series. Like, Bombers picking up a game in itself is just a huge upset, but then Direwolves in that first game looked incredibly dominant, and it looked super rough. So we saw, like, differing degrees of both of these teams, I think, and Direwolves exposed a little bit, but they did pick up the 2.
Still good enough to pick up the win, which is all that matters. And alongside with our Bob Ross people is King, who is going to have the interview.
The plural is Bob Rosses. Thank you very much, boys.
Bob
King,
Ross,
congratulations on the win. How are you feeling?
I'm a little disappointed that we, dropped the game to Bombers, but it's all right because we have the big point lead, and I think we still, even if we lose to like Order, I think like 2-0, we're still ahead.
What about Mammoth? You didn't say if we lose to Mammoth. What are you trying to say, bud? If you want to fight about it or not, we'll fight about it. No.
That's right.
No, okay.
Mammoth. Yeah, you guys are close, right?
We're second, bud. We're second until the match gets played later.
No, so you're not really second.
Oh.
You like the painting?
It's all right.
I got Calvin Ross with me. So I'll just ask you a few questions.
Yep.
What's your thought process in the game when Bombers get the Baron in that third game? Is it like, are you panicking? Like, what's the comms like? What's it? Are you, walk me
like,
through it.
when
Because I
you-
need to know for next week.
Yeah, when you do Baron, like either like when you see the enemy doing Baron, there's 2 things. You either stop them from doing it, or you let them get it and you kill them. So we're just like, all right, let's just kill them for it, because obviously, like, they were really desperate. You could tell, like, oh, get the Baron or we're gonna lose, and we punished them.
And I guess this is you've already touched on that you were disappointed that you lost the game. In terms of strength of the league, though, I feel like, and give me your opinion, like 1 to 8, there's teams that can just pinch games, take series, and like, so are you confident that you can maintain this, 0 loss streak, or do you think that there's a team or somewhere along the lines can break that?
I think everything like really happens for a reason. Like last year when we lost to Legacy, like each time we lost to Legacy, it actually made us stronger. So like, in some ways, I'm sort of hoping we lose. In that,
I'll take it. If you want to lose, just message me and we'll set it up.
Is that just like future-proofing in case you lose, that you can point back to this interview and like, well, I did say that I hoped we would lose.
No,
so.
like a lose isn't necessarily bad because it means it pushes us even harder than that. Like, would we just go 0 losses and just like, I don't know, roll our way through the league, or do we want to like take that loss and get back even higher?
And last thing, are you thinking about the Melbourne Esports Open? Are you thinking about the grand final already or not?
I'll be honest, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do after, and I feel like just going back to Melbourne shopping, but that's only if I win.
I'll come shopping too, because I think we'll both be in the grand
I'll get you
final.
some
So
flip-flops.
I'll get you Gucci socks, you get me Gucci flip-flops.
If I win.
If I win. If we both win.
If we both win.
We can get participation medals.
I don't think that's how League of Legends works, but that's fine. King, do you want to contribute to our beautiful
Have a
artwork here
paint.
before you leave? take brush here. You can put some.
I'll hold your mic. You get into it.
Here you go. I'm mixing all sorts of horrible colors together. Put some orange somewhere. It's
Have a look at the
hair.
painting for reference, please. I mean, have a
Put
look
that
at the
up
picture
there.
for reference.
Here's some little red.
Mm-hmm. Some nice red.
I got a red nose.
Ooh.
Where's the white?
His nose is really red in that picture.
Yeah, maybe he got. What I don't know what happened to his nose.
What did happen to his nose?
Um,
Oh my God! Did you just do his nose?
He just dipped his nose in a little.
That's fine. I mean, we were saving that.
You know-
right
you
till
know,
the
Twitch
end 'cause
chat,
it seemed like the most
100% right.
possibly do, but look, I like that. I like the Direwolves balls that you just showed off there. Can you also just sign it?
One-
In maybe some green. I've put a spot down here for you to be able to put your signature.
Twitch chat is saying ruined. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
Can't really sign with this wet paint, but
Well, you're a Direwolf. You'll figure it out. You can do everything else.
Kin.
I'm out of paint.
You've written
He's got
kin,
kin.
so it's like
Kin.
there we go.
K-I-N-G.
G. Beautiful.
G for
Fantastic.
GG. Well played. Congratulations on the win.
Well done.
We look there.
The Bob Rosses
Give him the
have
stare.
struck
Oh.
again. Oh God, don't cut to
Give
that.
them the blue steel when it comes back.
Cut away
might-
from the
it might
picture.
come back.
We'll be back after the break. King, congratulations on the win. I'm looking
very
forward to
much.
seeing you guys
In the grand
face off in the grand final,
Yeah.
but before that, obviously, tomorrow as well. We're going to go to a quick break and some highlights, and after that, we're going to see Order versus Chiefs.
A lot of his health gets hit. Flash forward. Jern will fall. First blood to Rosie. He's going to face Seb and actually does a lot of damage. However, Seb should be able to turn this one around. He can't. There's no ultimate coming out of Rosie. The taunt will also miss. So Jern's just dancing around in circles. Gets the very nice flash away. However, now Sleeping in big trouble. Goes very low. Will use the ultimate, but will fall down. Rosie uses the stopwatch. However, Seb also going to fall down. Rosie now trying to escape. Gets executed. And it's going to be Luch picking it up. And Jern gets shut down. Now all of a sudden King runs into the backline. Tiger looking for it. That is a 5-man hemo plague. So they will take down the Carthus. But if they can get anyone to safety, this is a win. Double kill for King. They're going to turn it around. They're going to go for the team fight. They will get no damage out right now. And this is an absolute wash. 3 members of the Bombers fall down for nothing. And a 3-man hemo plague. Luch has to go forward. He's going to fall down. And King cleans house. The lasers from the sky will come out, but that is already everyone from the Bombers dead. That was good enough for a game, but not for 2. Dire will show their class. They stay composed and they pick up the 2 points.